Hi everyone, my name is Ria and I am a TA for the Young Scientists Program at USC. And this week we're going to be doing a lesson on forces and rolling. And this lesson is actually a two-part lesson, so this is the first part, and make sure that you watch the second video for the second part. First, let's start off with an introduction video. So pause this video and look in the description below for the introduction video. That was a really cool video, right? Now, let's kind of talk about what we saw during the video. What did you notice about the track? What did you notice about the car? How are the track and the car different from what you usually see in your neighborhood? If you want to take a minute to think about these questions, you should pause the video here. Now that we've had an introduction, let's do some vocabulary learning. First, we're going to talk about energy. Energy is the ability to do work, and it's super important in science. It's basically how a lot of the world functions. Now, there are two types of energy. The first type is potential energy. Potential energy is stored energy. It's the energy of an object not in motion. So when an object is sitting still or sitting in somebody's hand, that is potential energy. Kinetic energy is our second type of energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of an object that is moving. And so when an object is in motion, it has kinetic energy. So, for example, this scrunchie in my hand right now has potential energy. But when I throw it up like this, it has kinetic energy. And now that it's back in my hand, it has potential energy again. Let's look at another example. So, when this girl is holding the ball right here, it has potential energy. But when she drops it, it has kinetic energy right here, right? So, another thing that's important for us to remember is that in any moment of time, an object will always have some amount or kind of energy, either kinetic or potential. Let's do an experiment together. If you want to follow along, you'll need a few things. First, you're going to need something that rolls. So you could use a toy car, a ball, or even a roll of toilet paper like I'm going to use. Next, you'll need a track. Things that are good for that are cardboard boxes or anything that is straight and can lay up against something. And last, you'll need something to put the track on. You can use a chair, a few books, anything like that will work. Now let's roll our object down the ramp. Wow, that was really cool. We just got to see how forces and rolling work in real life. Now let's fill out a chart about the experiment that we just did. First, let's remind ourselves of the different types of energy. First, we have potential energy, and that is stored energy. We also have kinetic energy, which is moving energy, right? So, when our object was resting at the top, what type of energy did it have? If you said potential energy, that's right. When the object was traveling down the ramp, what type of energy do you think it had? If you said kinetic energy, great job. Because when the object is traveling down the ramp, it's moving, which means it has kinetic energy. Lastly, when the object stopped at the end of the track, what type of energy do you think it had? If you said potential energy, that's right. When the object stops at the end of the track, it's no longer moving, so it's back at potential energy. Lastly, let's briefly talk about a scientist that uses forces in her life. Stephanie Wilson is an engineer and NASA astronaut. She has flown to space on 3 Space Shuttle missions and spent a total of 42 days in space. Her work with NASA and engineering is really important, since she studies space procedures and technical space duties. She has to know a lot about forces on Earth and in space to do her job. That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.